Court, and IPOB makes a U-turn and cancels a sit-at-home order. And also, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu inaugurates a 6-member panel to investigate the cause of the Ikoyi building collapse. This is Plus Politics, and I am Osaogie Ogbonwa. Welcome once again to Plus Politics on PlusTvAfrica. Candidates of the Anambra governorship election have signed a peace accord. Chairman of the National Peace Committee, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, called on candidates and political parties to abide by the letters of the peace accord to ensure a free, fair and credible election in the state. He urged that aggrieved parties are Ndigbo. Good evening and thanks for joining us.
Good evening. Thank you.
Great to have you.
Thank you for Ndigbo.
All right. So I want to start, and I think both of you would have to answer this. I'll start with Mr. Ogbonna. What are your thoughts on the idea of having to sign a peace accord for something that should be as simple as an election?
Well, this part of the world, our own brand of democracy, requires that accord has to be signed. Because sometimes people approach the politics with crude mind. And because of that, you have some elements of violence associated with the election. So it becomes necessary that peace accord has to be signed. So it's in order.
Okay, and Mr. Johnson, do you agree? Do you think that this is simply just because of the, the type of elections that we run here in Nigeria? Or would you say that this is a failure of Nigeria's system to punish offenders?
It is a shame. It shows that we really have not learned a lot. We have failed. All situation in the country as a whole, and especially what has been happening in Anambra regarding violent events and what have you.
And I'm talking about the IPOB now.
By the structure of the political party, the leadership will now give instruction to the followers. So I think the accord is signed among the leadership, especially the contestants, so that they will now talk to the leadership of their various parties, and the leadership of various parties will now go down to the grassroots. It is difficult also to organize all the followers, the grassroots all together in the accord. So I think the appropriate thing for leadership to key into the elements and the spirit of the accord, and then find a way to make sure that it goes down to the grassroots for them to key into that accord. So that's it. Evidently, any person who has served Nigerian politics will always know that sometimes they go to it with desperation, do or die. And because of that do or die, there's desperation, people fight in trying to secure votes. So it's important that the peace accord was signed. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I'm going to stick with you.
May I?
Mr. Johnson, go ahead. I think you want to share something.
Yes, may I just say that from what you actually said, it would have been difficult to have included the IPOB in the arrangements, which is what you're referring to, I believe, because it's a proscribed group. If you have termed a group that they're terrorists or what have you, then it's difficult to sit down and discuss with them. But if that hadn't been done, it would have been a good opportunity to have brought them to the table. But then I think having called off the sit at home, they are actually thinking the way they should do. But it would have been difficult.
Southeast, maybe even louder than the voice of the political and traditional leadership in the South.
Yeah, any person who has been following Ohaneze will realize that Ohaneze have been opposed to all this kind of boycotting elections, sit at home and things like that. Ohaneze have often shown concern over this because it is not the way, it's not the Ohaneze consider that it's not the better approach to some of the problems we have in the Southeast. 4 years ago, the IPOB also came with a threat that there wouldn't be any election. We persuaded them. It was a prolonged one. Eventually, they had to key in. This time around, almost a day to the time, they also canceled the sit at home. So you are very correct in what you are saying. The important thing is that they have canceled it. But I also want to let you know that when you talk about IPOB now, apart from the leadership of the IPOB, most young Igbos seem to support what they are doing. So it is really difficult to say these are the members of IPOB and who are not members of IPOB. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes.
I hope you are following.
Yes.
So apart from the leader, most Igbo boys or Igbo youth look at IPOB now as a savior because it's like infrastructure, job opportunities, a lot of other things. So, and when compared to what is happening in some other zones, they get frustrated. It is that frustration that is now, they try to agitate against it. And that agitation is manifestly gaining weight and momentum because of reality on ground. So any person who is in form of depressed in a way, losing by way of not get unemployment and other forms of alienations and deprivations, all of them are key into the momentum of IPOB. So it is now difficult to say these ones are members of IPOB and these ones are not members of IPOB. One can now classify the society in the Southeast as two, the elite on one side and also the masses on the other. The masses this time now, those who are unemployed, those who youth, who feel sidelined, who have one kind of problem or the other, and who feel that the only way to gain...
I'm trying to focus on the idea behind to create that, voter suppression and, of course, then give the election to a particular group.
Yeah, like I support understand what you said, and I cited 4 years ago when Obiano was to go for second term. It happened, this time again it happened. I don't really think it's a machination for for a particular political party. I don't want to believe that. I only believe that they say it because of the reality. If you see some other elements, pro-Biafra group and going about to implement it. So people who are sitting at home now, it's not that they are in support of sit at home, but they fear and trepidation. Because sometimes the security operatives, they are not in great number to protect them. So most of them, to be on the safe side, they just stay indoor. Not because they like to stay indoor. Like if you go to the market, all the rural women that sell tomato, pepper, those things is not in compliance with IPOB instruction, but trying to be on the safe side. So that is what you find here.
All right. Ladipo Johnson, let's bring you in on the same question. Would you agree with those who say that the IPOB may be working on the background with certain political parties in order to achieve voter suppression and able to push the election victory their way?
Well, you could understand that actually, because really it makes no sense if you're fighting, you're a group fronting and fighting for the emancipation, in quotes, of your people. You would not do that 4 years ago and do that again 4 years after, calling it off just the day before. you leave room and you begin to lose credibility amongst the people who are following you. So as Chief said, maybe put pressure on them because they've known this and it's happened before. If it hadn't happened before, then I'd say, okay, yes, maybe Chief is right. Maybe pressure was put on them by people trying to negotiate for the elections to go on. But bottom line is that when people look up to a group or up to a person for leadership, to lead them out of what they feel is a disadvantageous position, they begin to lose interest and they begin to doubt the credibility of that group when things are taken.
Yeah, and of course, the sit-at-home have also not been able to convince anyone to release their leader, and that's also not very likely to happen. But I want your thoughts on the IPOB instead playing things out, in the other direction, and that is convincing their members, convincing people of the Southeast to get registered for the election, get their PVCs, and vote a candidate that they think would be be better for them and for the Southeast. So, Mr. Johnson,
exactly. The country to let you go, as it were, or maybe some are saying that you want a referendum or what have you. Your work becomes 100 times easier if, say, you have some 3 of the state governors, members of the state's houses of assembly, the speakers or whatever, what have you, who are your sympathizers or your members. So one would have thought they'd be working the other way around, that with this popularity, yes, we don't want to go into politics, but we want to influence things so that we can get our people in the position we want them to be in so that we can make the move we want to make. But I think they've gone the other way. But maybe they will listen to you and begin to work towards 2023 and make sure that they get the people of the East, I'm not saying I want them to secede. I'm a Yoruba man, the Igbos are my brothers and sisters. We want them to still remain, but in a fairer, more equitable Nigeria that works for everyone and not just for a few.
All right. Chief Ogbonna, since we're not sure who the IPOB will listen to, I'm not sure if they would listen to Ohaneze Ndigbo or the rest of the traditional leadership in the Southeast to set up a conversation where they are convinced to instead convince their followers and people of the Southeast to get involved with the electoral process and increase the numbers of people who get registered and thereby put in candidates in office that would work in their favor. Chief Ogbonna, do you think that that's what Ohaneze Ndigbo should be telling the IPOB at this point?
Yes, this is played out 4 years ago when Chief Nyanwodo was the President General of Ohaneze Ndigbo. When they said there wouldn't be election in the Anambra State 4 years ago, we urged them, we advised them that they better would look into the array of the contestants or the candidates and then support one of them who they believed would carry the IPOB consciousness for them. And from there, they will begin to grow in weight and in support. And with time, they get more support and perhaps actualize what they are looking for. So we had told them that much before. But you can see, like what I told you, when you talk about IPOB, we have 2 kinds of people in the Southeast. It is important that you should note it. One, I call the elite now, and the other one, the masses. And when you come to the masses now, those who are unemployed, those who are having one kind of thought process or the other, those who feel entirely marginalized, the youth, because of reality on ground. So you say for IPOB leadership is playing on the sentiments or the reality on ground as with respect to poor infrastructure. So the masses are now on the side of the IPOB. But the elite, those who perhaps continue to tell them that it is better that we stay in a restructured Nigeria where we find equity will be the major proposal and major part of the discussion and engagement in the relationship. No, but some of them who haven't got this experience like some of us, it's difficult for them to understand it. So I think as much as we continue to urge them to understand from the viewpoint of the advantages Nigeria provides, so it's discovered that that has been the point for the elite, the leadership, to convince them to understand the very benefits the larger Nigeria provides. It has been a problem because of the reality on ground. That is why we felt that this requires a political solution, that requires dialogue, kind of diplomacy. For instance, assuming that on meeting the presidency says, okay, one more minister for you, one more state for you, one more this and that and that. And people, there will be jubilation galore. And it will still have basis. It will begin to have basis of convincing some others that things are beginning to change shape. And based on the whole problem was the policy of exclusion and the policy of nepotism, where at a point it appeared that most positions in government will always go to one ethnic group, which is wrong. Ohanese have condemned this several times. We appeal to the presidency to change attitude that one is not the best for diverse nature and character of Nigeria. For example, if you look at the service chiefs in Nigeria today, we have about 14 of them. Igbo is not considered good enough for any one of them. In fact, every other area of life, of politics, you discover that somehow the minority is very clear. So these are the things, the rules are death trap. These are things that make it difficult for us to convince the youth. But if we see the presidency and we enter into a dialogue and he says, okay, look at the way it is, now there should be equity, Nigeria we begin to balance issues, then people will begin to jubilate, and it will be easier for us to convince the youth to join us in our crusade for one Nigeria.
Oh, well, I'm not sure if that is exactly the way it will play out, but let's wrap up with Ladipo Johnson. Your final thoughts, if you can share with us in less than a minute. How disappointing will you be, or how disappointed rather will you be, Mr. Johnson, seeing electoral figures or voting figures tomorrow looking very, very, very poor? Would it break your heart, or would you, of course, see it as expected?
With what has happened, it is to be expected. If the turnout is good, then we will be pleased that people came out to vote to decide their futures. But unfortunately, I think the security infrastructure is quite robust. So I pray that it does, that the elections go well tomorrow, and I pray that the people of the state will come out and vote for a person of their choice to lead them in the next 4 years.
Ladipo Johnson, thank you so much for your time this evening. Okoye Building. We'll be right back.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408 or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
So, we believe in Nigeria, right? We believe that Nigeria can get better. We, the youth, are the ones that can make it better.
And my products are proudly made in Nigeria.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State has inaugurated a 6-member panel of inquiry to investigate the cause of the collapse of the 21-story building in Ikoyi. He also signed an executive bill to give legal backing to the panel during their period of sitting. The panel will be chaired by Toyi.
Thank you for having me on the program.
So I brought up, or I started a conversation yesterday with regards to the panel of inquiry. Interesting personalities. It has Mr. Tony Ayinde, he's the president.
Well, I am happy you said something now that I really liked. Must we wait till, where were all these people, all these professionals, when the building was being say something anytime I'm talking on any forum that Nigeria, we do things, we are so peculiar. I don't know why. We do things that the way it is never done elsewhere in the world. Right. Thank God you have, so we have all these people. How come we cut corners? How come we bypass professionals like this to do things the Nigerian way? It starts from the way where you see, I live on the island. When I was given the time to come here, I left my home around 5 to make a 7:30 appointment. I'm sure this is because of the training I've got in the past, working, holding forth for an international organization in Africa for several years, right? Normally, I could have said, oh, Nigerian time, I should be there by, and now you still be waiting for me, or the studio will be waiting for me. You see, there are fundamental issues that we need to address before we can move forward. I can bet it with you. At the end of, if we have bold people, I'm quoting now, bold people who will ask questions. I can bet it with you that after the governor has set up all these professionals to investigate the cause of the building, you will see we won't have the outcome. I'm not causing, neither am I. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, the result, the report, the communique, the whatever they come up with, we might not hear about it anymore. We might hear about it, but the story might be doctored because this is Nigeria. I was reading something just now, as if the person who sent it to me knew I was coming for a program. He said, at the 7th day when God was resting, devil sneaks to create African leaders. And you say, sorry, it's not funny that when God was resting on the 7th day, devil sneaked to create African leader, and their class captain is in Nigeria.
Well, it's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking.
And the reason, all these questions will come up, and I also was saying to myself earlier that I think one of the challenges that Nigerians have, I don't know if you would agree, we would not be in an environment where a panel is set up to wait for 30 days for, results. We would instead be asking that every single detail of what happened leading up to the event on Monday be investigated. Look. And that includes, and I've said this over, that includes the search and rescue efforts and the lackluster attitude of the search and rescue efforts.
Let me tell you one thing again. Nigeria is the only country where that adage that he who pays the piper dictates the tune. This you will remember the issue of Oga at the top, right? The issue of Oga at the top came in when the guy was asked what is your
Website.
website? And he was being, it was probably was thinking, oh, if I give my website, office website out, my guy at the top, the brown envelope is appreciating you. You don't tell it the way it is, which is sickening. In those days, journalists were after at this stage. The panel were given who unsealed the, just like you are buying outside London, Hertfordshire. You are not as what's on your own.
So you don't believe or trust that this panel, the 6-member panel, will be able to?
No, I give.
But also, can a criminal investigation be going on side by side with the panel? And unfortunately, we're in a country where if the governor himself or the presidency or the IGP doesn't give a go-ahead for an investigation, the police really can ignore it and act like it didn't happen. So would you expect that in a system that works, they don't need to wait to be told to resume or to begin a criminal investigation into this matter while the governor sets up whatever panel he chooses to set up?
My dear brother, the people, the panel there, on that panel, who is going to be instigating criminal investigation, right? If you want to do criminal, if you want to bring in criminal investigation, you bring the likes of the DSS, the FBI. We don't have FBI in Nigeria. The like of the police and what have you. Then we know that this will start, and they will go back and say this is what we find out, and somebody will say, okay, thank you, collect the report, take pictures, and put the picture out to the public for rabble-rousers to say, oh, they're doing well. But the main thing they were asked to do, you will discover that at the end of the day, you will see that nothing will come out of it. I can bet it with you. I'm so sorry saying all these things, right? I'm saying all these things. But this is what we know. This is what I've been. I studied investigative journalism. So you should know that I know how we are, who we are, and what we are.
How do you think that the people of Lagos can put pressure on the government to ensure that there is a criminal, investigation into this, or that the panel doesn't waste Lagosians' time for the next 30 days, and eventually nobody gets to pay for or answer for these debts? Unfortunately,
the owner of the building died with the building. That is one reason why criminal investigation will be dropped and has to go down the drain. That is one major excuse. But if we're a nation, the Nigerian nation, yes, that's supposed to learn from past problems or atrocities and what have you, we shouldn't find ourselves in this situation. Look at all the story. Oh, he got approval for 8-story building. Later, he got approval for 15-story building. Somebody has to lose his job because he said, no, it was supposed to be 15-story building, yeah, but now he went to 18. Now it's now 21, and somebody has to lose his job. That is the kind of justice you get in a society where, like I said, he who dictates the tune, he who pays the piper dictates the tune. That's the Nigerian society. And if we continue like this, there are fundamental issues, there are fundamental problems that we are ignoring just for the sake of, oh, no, it's not, I don't know. Somebody said something one day. He said they were taking the Anglican. I did not assist them because I am not an Anglican. They came to take the Catholic. I did not come out because I was not a Catholic. They went and take the Presbyterian. I did not show interest because I was not part of the Presbyterian. Now they've taken all those people away. They've come to take me. Who now will fight my cause? They're forgetting that the governor of my state, my former governor of my state, Ayo Fayose, was seen hopping on Okada, right? If during his tenure as the governor of Ekiti State, if he had used his little power, the regional power from Ekiti, to say, no, must not be this. We must do this the way I see it overseas,
yes,
that I travel to virtually every other week. He wouldn't have been hopping on bike when there was traffic. There would have been solution to Nigerian problem. We will all come back. We will all come back to our shit, to whatever we do now. So I don't think, just like I said, I wish the panel good. I wish them good deliberation. I wish them good result. But I can bet it.
Yes, well, I understand what he.
We're Nigerians.
But it shouldn't be that way. And if you've been following the story, the video clips that you see almost every day, you see family members crying. You see people weeping and hoping that they would find some glimmer of hope.
You remember, I flew in from England to cover was it the Sosoliso or
Sosoliso?
I think it was Sosoliso or one of the that crashed. And the guy said, "Reasonable. Who are we? Who are we? And we want to continue like this. All we want to do is, can't you see my fleet of cars, my houses and all that stuff? Forgetting that human life matters a lot. There are 1,000,001 people out there that cannot even afford the meal. I was coming now, sorry, I'm saying this. I'm feeling somehow. I remain on the mainland anytime I don't have anything because of traffic. I don't come this way. Today, when I got to Victoria Island and I saw the kinds of buildings you guys have, I'll be fooling myself. I told my children they should not come fortunately, my children, I thought they won't come to Nigeria. They don't need to come and see anything because there's nothing to see. Now I know that I am Mr. Foolish. I can say it categorically to Nigerian, I remain Mr. Foolish. What I saw today, the kind of buildings that I saw today, I remember at a point I raised up my head and I was counting floors and I was counting up to 30 floors and I said, well, I should just go and sleep somewhere.
Well, hopefully, and of course I'm going to wrap up with, saying that I hope that this is a wake-up call for the Lagos State government to ensure that they look across all the approvals that have been given in the last 5 years for high-rise buildings across Lagos, because from what we've seen, it's possible to beat the system. And continue building.
You're right. So then they should include criminal investigators with this
panel.
With this panel. Then we know that we are at it. But if we say, those who want to say, the sand was not too thick enough or the cement was not the proper one, here we go again.
All right. That's where we, of course, will end the discussion for now. Thank you for staying with us. Of course, we've just been speaking with Nii Babade. He's an international journalist. We'll take a short break, and when we return, I'll be giving my take. My take today is centered around the value of the Nigerian life. This particular perspective has been spoken about millions of times, but we still don't seem to get it. When we start to actually place value on the Nigerian life, then we will begin to question certain levels of incompetence and stop ignoring the failures of government in areas that are always overlooked. Certain things we don't complain about, and it's really because it's the Nigerian way and we don't know how to demand competence always. If we value the Nigerian life, we would speak louder about the things like the standard operating procedures for search and rescue in Nigeria. On this day in 2012, it was on record that 363 people died from flooding in certain states in Nigeria. To date, no one was questioned. And now we're doing the same thing with the search and rescue at Ikoyi, whose failure was responsible for the delay in equipment getting to Gerrard Road. Are we using the right equipment in searching for survivors? Is the use of excavators, alone best practice? Should there be any minute that passes where work is put on hold? And why don't we even have airlifting equipment? There's no helicopters, there's no air helicopters at all. Nobody's asking these questions simply because there's no punishment for incompetence when it comes to the Nigerian life. And we must do better. That's my take. Thanks for joining us. Plus Politics returns on Monday at 7 p.m. I am Osaogie Ogbonwa. Have a great night.